think a lot of people at Oxford are on the autism spectrum. Like 70 or 60% of the people you meet here, they're a bit.
Let's talk about sleep now. How important do you think it is? Because for people that are studying the night before the exam, they are probably compromising the sleep.
My family always said that I'm gifted, which I'm like really smart and intelligent. And people tell me that all the time. I can sleep like a baby. First of all, you need to study. Just don't worry too much about it. When you sleep, your brain grows. It's true. Like, I don't understand how someone can get a D or an E.
Yeah, how can you do bad in purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly. For me, highlighting things and all that doesn't work. In terms of exams, for example, I would always like study the night before. Who is Greg is a very loaded question.
Regarding curriculum, what do you think is important to have for getting accepted into Oxford?
Coming to Oxford is a long-term investment. I think it's only really worth it.
Este es mi amigo Greg. Greg es un joven polaco con altas capacidades que estudia en la Universidad de Oxford. En este vídeo nos explicará cómo ha llegado hasta aquí estudiando únicamente el día de antes, cómo se organiza para estudiar y si cree que los estudiantes de Oxford son mucho más inteligentes que el resto del mundo. Finalmente iremos a comer y nos revelará su respuesta a la gran pregunta del vídeo.
Hi everyone, I'm Greg. I do musculoskeletal sciences at Oxford, research masters. Before that I was at UCL doing neuroscience for my bachelor's in London. And yeah, so far I'm having a very good time in Oxford. I come from Poland, and in my spare time mostly I play video games, I do a bit of sports. I also grew up internationally, so I lived in Austria, I lived in Poland, I lived in Belgium. And I went to do 1 year of dentistry in Sheffield, and then I got bored of it and changed my mind and I applied for neuroscience at UCL. It was a big jump, but yeah, I got in no problem, and that was during COVID as well. And I don't know, to me studying was always something that just kind of, you just kind of do it. I've never put in that much thought into it. You have to go to school, you do your homework, you do your exam.
Did you ever like it?
I never liked it or disliked it. It's just something you do. You just gotta do it. No particular feelings towards it.
What do you think also about the people in Oxford? How are they? Do you find them like super intelligent? Do you find them also compare them with other experiences of other people you met in different parts of the world?
The thing about people at Oxford is that whenever you meet someone, you can immediately assume that they're here for a reason. They're probably a smart person and they're probably a competent person, which I love. So you can walk up to anyone that's affiliated with the university and just have a really technical conversation, ask them what do you study, what do you research, and they're going to have something really interesting to say about that. And everyone here is just really cool, really chill. Everyone here is at Oxford for a limited amount of time, so everyone's making the most of it. It's very enjoyable.
How are you in London then?
In London everyone's a little bit uptight, everyone's a little bit stressed. Everyone's always rushing to get things done. It's, I hate this word, but it's the hustle and bustle is real. Right? It's living in a city, but in a big city like London, it's a bit more stressful. But here, it's a little town. Everyone's relaxed, it's quiet.
Very green, as we say.
Look at that. You don't get that in London. You don't get that.
Even we have here a river that we cannot see from the camera.
Oh, I'll tell you something funny. In London, every night, I would sleep with earplugs in because it was so loud. You would hear cars going all the time. Here, it's silent at night. I can sleep like a baby.
How are you back in school? Were you like a good student? Were you like...
So I was a good student in the sense that I got all of my homework done. I did my exams, no problem, but I never put in that much effort into it.
Okay.
In terms of exams, for example, I would always like study the night before or like within 1 week before the exam, and then you just show up and do it. I don't know. So for me, it wasn't ever a thing where I put in that much thought or effort into it. It's just kind of automatic for me.
So it worked?
It just worked.
You continued doing it, right?
I suppose, yeah. Plus, you need a degree, you need to get a job, right?
Yeah.
So this is the path that you take. But studying was never a problem to me, and it was never a major thing. Like, to give you an example, what I would do is I would do my school day, and I would come back home, and I would play video games until it got dark. And then when it got dark, I would do my homework.
Okay.
And then go back to playing video games, right?
Okay.
So it was just like something I got out of the way.
How did you even organize like for studying? Did you always study the day before?
I'm not a very organized person in a sense that, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. There doesn't have to be an exact schedule and timetable or like Pomodoro technique. That stuff doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It was just like, you know, I need to sit down, read the content, maybe make some flashcards. That's what I did flashcards when I was at school.
Yeah, it's the best way for memorizing. There is a video in the channel, so check it out.
It's true, it's quite true. Remember to like and subscribe. But yes, so organization for me was, I wouldn't put much effort into it. I'm not organized in that sense. The one thing I was very organized for was when studying for big exams, like end of year exams, I had a list of all the topics. So I had that and I broke it down into bits, into like chapters. Yeah. And I made a big Excel sheet to track which ones I've reviewed and which ones I've revised. So that I recommend when you have specific things you need to study, you make a big plan, but like don't get too stressed about it. When it's a big exam, 1 week or 2 weeks before the exam, you start studying. But if it's like a small quiz, just read the textbook and absorb the information. I don't know, my family always said that I'm gifted, which I'm really smart and intelligent. People tell me that all the time. It kind of gets to your head a little bit if they say it a lot, but I suppose maybe I am.
I really know you since I came here in October, and I think you have a very specific type of humor. Yeah. You're a very funny person, and I think that is very related with intelligence.
I do think that the people that understand my type of humor is very ironic and very not funny to the average person. Yeah. But the people that do understand it and find it genuinely funny, I feel that they're intelligent people as well. Okay. Or that we connect somehow.
How do you organize? Let's say you have the exam at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. And you start studying maybe at 8, 6, 7 p.m. the day before. How?
No, I would study a few days before. Okay. But I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't make pages of notes. That's not how I work. Just kind of absorb the information. But with maths, you just do lots of practice questions. Yeah. Maths is all about practice. But with things like biology, physics, it's very much you read the chapter, you get the logic of it, you understand the logic, how it works step by step. Yeah. And you move on. When there's things very specific things like the Krebs cycle, like glycolysis, memorize. You have to memorize that, then flashcards once again, and things like that. For small exams, I didn't really study for, just come as they are. For big exams like GCSEs, mocks, A-levels, stuff like that, then I would put in more days of work, but the organization of it was not very clear. It was
yeah, we are talking that for those exams, people maybe studied months.
Yeah.
Several months.
But then the thing
you were doing it in weeks.
People study differently, People study differently and...
some people read, prepare, highlight some things, write notes.
Exactly.
Your way was much more direct.
For me, highlighting things and all that doesn't work.
What would be your advice then for people that are feeling exactly the same that you were feeling before? That you don't really like to study, but you have to do it, you want to do something in future. For example, you are now in Oxford, right? That's the dream of so many people.
Yes. So, first of all, you need to study. If you want to if you have ambitions and you want to have a good job and get into university, you need to study and you need to get good grades, right? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get all A stars or sixes or whatever the highest grade is where you're at. But you do need to study and you do need to put in the effort. Just don't worry too much about it. As long as you revise the content, as long as you understand the content. Yeah. You don't need to remember it all, but if you understand it, you're halfway there. Or even you're 3/4 of the way there. So focus on that. I think what I did for big exams was write notes and flashcards. Yeah. And that's it. And read the textbook.
Now with AI, it's so much easier.
Don't use AI.
No, I mean, for preparing the flashcards, I mean, you can just copy all your tests, all the things you have to study, ask AI, but create me questions and answers for this.
But you see, that's not. I don't think that's good because
after you came up with yours.
No, the thing is, you don't learn by reading the flashcards and turning them over. You learn by making the flashcards. You see, if you make notes of all your content, this is for university exams, for example. If you make notes, just write down the content from the slides, not exactly, don't copy the slides, but the general ideas. If you copy them from the slides and write down the general ideas on notes, handwrite, that's important. Yeah. You will learn it. You will learn it automatically.
There are some studies that showed so big difference in memorizing from people that handwriting in comparison to people that take notes with a computer.
There you go.
Even more than people that didn't take notes, of course.
You see, in COVID, actually, during COVID, we all had online classes. Yeah. So what I would do is make a big document on Word with everything that I need to know, and then when the exam was online, I would just look up keywords and find the content, and then kind of I'd have the notes ready, but I wouldn't really learn anything. And then in my last year of university, the exams started being in person. I started making handwritten notes, and I realized that when I did them handwritten, I would actually learn things and memorize them just by writing them once. In a pile of notes, I would memorize everything.
And if you're stressed about the fact that maybe you could be like missing something because you're handwriting and maybe you are not as fast, what you can do is just recording, as I'm doing now, voice note of the classroom in which you are. So you will be like just focus on handwriting the most important things. And if you miss anything, you can just hear the class again.
Absolutely. Don't worry about missing. If you miss something,
maybe it's not as important.
Probably not important. Exactly. Probably not important.
Definitely.
But when you handwrite, the idea is that it's the big general ideas, and you make it very rough. When you make like digital notes, it's very specific information. You put in references, you put in links, you have everything there. But when you handwrite, you don't need everything. You just need the most important ideas.
And to connect them.
And connect them, exactly. It comes together as a big picture.
Do you think Oxford students are special somehow? Do you think they are more intelligent than other students in other universities?
This is a funny thing. I hope I'm not misunderstood when I say this, but I think a lot of people at Oxford are on the autism spectrum. Maybe like 70 or 60% of the people you meet here, you can kind of tell they're a bit funky, you know?
Yeah.
So that's just something funny I noticed. Everyone has a spark. Everyone's got something interesting to them, and they're all curious people. That's why they're here. Everyone is here to learn. Everyone is here, or maybe not everyone is here by choice. Maybe some people, some people have expectations from their parents, but I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Whether they are, people at Oxford, on average, they're going to be more book smart, let's say, than the average university, or there's a higher standard for excellence, so to speak. For higher academic standard, but at the end of the day, everyone here is just normal people. That's the thing that people outside of Oxford don't know, that we in Oxford know, is that everyone here is just normal, and this is a university like any other, and it's not perfect. And
one of the main differences that I noticed here in Oxford is that when you come to Oxford, you already know that you are going to Oxford, so you go with one mentality and one attitude. That given the fact that we also have this special environment in Oxford, historically, also inspirational, the people you are surrounded, like very, very, very influenced people that are working here, I think that also pushes you to work, because you see all the people working so hard, and then you want to work so hard for achieving your goals. So in the end, maybe, although you are not as intelligent as other university people, you are here working so hard because you are in Oxford and you want to make this opportunity a big deal.
That's true. And also you're here for a limited amount of time.
Exactly, yeah.
So while you're at Oxford, you want to make the most of it. And it's a little bit of friendly competition. Your friend says, I'm doing this cool thing, and you think, I kind of want to do something cool like that. So maybe you'll go to your supervisor and talk about it, And another thing is, when you're at Oxford, whenever you meet someone that's from the university, you know that they are here for a reason. You know that they got selected and accepted to Oxford. So you can already immediately assume that they are a competent and ambitious person and high achieving. The quality, everyone here is really enriching. Everyone is enriched and enriching when you talk to them. And you can, you go to your college and you meet people, and in your casual first conversation with someone, you're discussing advanced scientific topics because you're curious about their work and they're curious about your work. So that's really cool.
Let's talk about sleep now. How important do you think it is? Because for people that are studying the night before the exam, they are probably compromising the sleep. And there are so many evidence that, for example, if you're in the afternoon studying, you study for some hours and you take a nap, the retention you get is much higher than the one without a nap. Because it's in that moment that you are resting, that your neurons are interconnecting, creating new neurons, creating new connections, and that's learning. So what do you think about that? How was your ideas? How are you organizing yourself for this?
So take it from a neuroscientist.
You are a neuroscientist.
I did neuroscience, right? When you sleep, your brain grows. It's true. When you sleep, your brain repairs, it refreshes, it resets. When you study right before sleeping, that's the best time to study, because you learn new things, you sleep, and when you sleep, they get internalized and they become solid ideas in your head. That's how you remember them. So sleep is super important. I love sleep. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. So before the exam, the night before the exam, you want really good sleep. And when you wake up, you want a good, nutritious and light breakfast. Light as in not too heavy. So you want maybe eggs, if you're vegan, some other protein, some kind of vegetable like tomatoes, something healthy, something that'll make you feel good for the day.
That you're fresh.
You're fresh.
Even
yes.
Exercise.
You can do a little bit of exercise if you do
But
that
not
in the
too much,
morning.
because maybe you're too tired for
No, exactly. And also, that's another thing, if you do a lot of exercise, I noticed this, if you do exercise before sleeping, you get adrenaline,
Yeah,
and you get tense, and you can't fall asleep. So try not to do too much.
just a bit.
Just
Yeah.
a bit.
Actually, if you want to be an elite student, you have to think about how elite professional sportsmen, for example, or high executives work. So you have to follow that kind of thing, like having a healthy diet, having a healthy life, sleeping properly,
Yes.
having those habits.
But you see, you frame it as like following the elites. For me, it's like take it easy.
yeah, but take it easy.
It's the same idea.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Healthy diet, work-life balance. You need to relax. You don't have to have a regimen. You don't have to have a
But,
regimen.
yeah,
You
exactly.
just have to, don't overwork yourself. Don't stress. That's the number one rule. Don't stress.
Yeah, but that's actually the most important thing, like not being stressed in a stressful world, right?
Yeah.
That's being elite, being able to have that ability
I suppose.
to manage yourself, manage your emotions.
But I
having
think
a-
I think that comes down to being able to detach yourself in
Yeah.
some way from the world. Yeah. But that's a whole other discussion. That's a whole other topic.
Would you say that trying to be so productive with school and having good marks was a way for you to be more time playing video games?
I mean, I never thought of it that way. Maybe. I mean, I suppose there was never an ulterior motive like that. It was just that they give you homework and they tell you need to do your homework, so you gotta do it, and you need to get the questions right.
Yeah.
I don't understand how someone can get a D or an E on a homework, right?
Yeah.
Or like an essay they have to write at home.
Yeah, how can you do bad in purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which I can't relate to this.
Regarding curriculum, what do you think is important to have for getting accepted into Oxford?
If you want to know how to get into Oxford, go to the link in the description and you will find out the one-on-one mentoring service that I started offering for helping you conquer your dreams. See you there.
It's an interesting question. Essay writing, academic writing of all kinds. Writing essays, writing like lab reports and papers, and writing CVs and motivational letters. So anyone can do it. You just need to know that you want to do it and kind of manifest it in a way. You need to play your cards right. But it's not that difficult. You just need to do it.
Let's talk about the strategy for studying.
Okay.
So imagine you have exams really soon.
Yeah.
And you have to prepare for it. How do you start with that? You need to understand the topic, then you need to memorize the topic. How is your mental?
So step by step, first thing is I make a list of all the chapters. That I need to revise, or maybe all of the lectures. There's a list of lectures, and then as I go through them, I tick them off so that I have a checklist. And then for every lecture, this is for university level, I open up the lecture, and it's usually pre-recorded, or even if it's just the slides, I make notes, like I said, general notes, and have the big ideas. Usually for every either one slide or two slides, there's one maybe big overarching theme. And that's really how I do exams nowadays. And then the night before exams, you just go over your notes, you read through them. It's casual. But yes, this is a pattern that I found, is when they give you university slides or when they do lectures, there's usually one idea per slide. And so when you watch a lecture, for example, or you're reading the slides, you need to identify the idea and write it down, one per slide. That's usually the pattern. For school, if you're at school, it's a bit different. It's usually textbook, but once again, the schools often have a syllabus, and in the syllabus it has a list of everything you need to know. So you get that list and you check it off. And you do chapter by chapter, topic by topic, you go through the book, you make notes, you make flashcards.
Okay.
I'm really happy that I did my undergraduate where I did,
In
which
London?
was in Sheffield and in London, because it was a much more relaxed situation and you don't have to put in as much effort, which on one side, yes, in Oxford and Cambridge, they're going to push you and they're going to get the best out of you, and pressure makes diamonds. But on the other hand, when you're so young, and your your bachelor's is a bit of a waste of time, and it's there to relax and enjoy life as a student.
I honestly don't know how undergrads in our college do.
Yeah.
They are party animals, but at the same time they have to excel
Yeah,
at
exactly.
university.
Like medic students as well.
Yeah, like in universities, like people from these ages, they are party animals. They
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go enjoy, have friends, everything, socialize. But at the same time, they are like always in the library, always working. It's like so much pressure.
And how do they do it? But at the end of this, they'll come out with an Oxford degree, and look at that. Their life is set just like that. And that's the thing, employers and such, when you get the Oxford degree, people from outside of Oxford, like I said, they attribute a lot of value to the Oxford degree, or Cambridge as well. But for us, maybe, I don't know about you, but for me, like, it's just a piece of paper. To someone that knows what Oxford is really like, it doesn't hold as much value as to someone who hasn't been here.
I think being in Oxford or Cambridge is not about the paper or the logo that you show to people that I've been in Oxford or Cambridge. It's about the opportunities that you have while being in Oxford, Cambridge, the people you meet, especially the people you meet, and the things you learn. I think it's such a beautiful and enriching environment that you can use to your favor. And I think the logo, the piece of paper is the less important thing in the end.
Well, is it the less important? If you want to get a job,
Yeah, but what about the things you learned, the projects in which you participated? I think that those things are the really important things.
For me, it's the way it shapes you.
Exactly,
The way
like how you are.
It changes your brain chemistry a little bit.
And you are influenced by world leaders that are actually researching the things that I was, for example, studying and dreaming when I was in my previous university in Spain. Like maybe we were like studying Oxford Nanopore, and here maybe the CEO of Oxford Nanopore is a friend of my professor and can come, and he can explain us how he decided to start with this company, how he developed the technology, how that professor that is giving us the class decided to do that. Like,
and that's the thing.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of funding here, and a lot of kind of groundbreaking technologies are maybe I don't know. It's easy for me at least to take it for granted because they're just here. So many like 3D printers and so many advanced machines. At this point, I don't really think about it. So it's I don't find it as crazy, but that's just because that has become my reality.
Y finalmente nos fuimos a comer para conocer la respuesta a la gran pregunta.
Delicious. Traditional English food.
What do you think about people that come here to Oxford, see it as an investment? Do you think it's worth it?
So that's a very interesting question because everyone comes from a different background and everyone's gonna have slightly different opinions about it.
Yeah.
Overall, coming to Oxford is a long-term investment, but I think it's only really worth it if either you're rich or you're paying home fees, like UK fees. Otherwise, if you're paying international fees, it might be too much money.
Because the difference is home fees for the UK is 10,000.
Yeah, more
for
or less.
international is around 30,000.
So 30,000, let's say for 3 years, for 1 year for a master's. Even 30,000, that could be very worth it, because then you could get a well-paying job and it will pay back quite quickly.
So do you think it's worth it then? Like, short answer. What would be your short answer?
Short answer is it's complicated. It depends on your individual financial situation. But if you get an Oxford degree, you become very desirable to employers, especially if you go back to a home country where there aren't that many
Competition in Oxford.
excellent universities. So I'm going back to Poland, and my degree from Oxford will be extremely valuable because the standard of education in the UK is seen as much better than in Poland.
Maybe in London would be much more difficult.
Even with a London degree,
No, I mean having an Oxford degree in London is maybe not as competitive for you than going back to Poland or to Spain.
If you were to get an Oxford degree and then stay in the UK, then yes, you would still have very good job opportunities, but there are a lot of people in the UK that have finished Oxford. So it's not that extraordinary, but when you go back to your home country and you become a really one in a thousand, or even more rare, 1 in 10,000, went and finished a top university in the world, you become really valuable to companies and things like that.